All right. And let me know when you have it all pulled up.
I have it up.
Awesome.
So do I.
Perfect. Okay. So we haven't fully defined this. We did that on purpose though, because there's a couple fancier mates I kind of want to show you guys how to use. So we're gonna go up to the little mate icon. And so for the first one, let's do this. Select the base of one of the gears. No, like don't click the actual gear, click like the rectangular base we had mounted it on. Then click, so click like the side face like I have, and then the side face of our slide, and make those coincident for now. This is just going to be temporary to keep them from sliding side to side. Let me know once you guys have done that, and then we can go to the next part.
Okay, that's done.
Okay. So now we're going to
Yeah, I did that.
cool. Now we're going to go back into mate. And as you can see, there's 4 tabs, right? We've been in the standard tab this whole time. That's the one you use most of the time. We're going to click over to the mechanical tab now, though. Once you're there, we're going to click on the gear icon. And then we'll click the circular fit, like the edges of our quote unquote gears. So once you click on those edges, you can click OK to make them mate. And what that's basically done, that gear mate, it's made them work basically like gears. So as you can see, when you use the handle to twist one of them, the other one will also spin. This is a way you can basically use gears and assemblies. And you can do this with actual gears as well. Like if you're either designing your own gear or downloading a gear, you can use the gear mate on actual gears as well. We're just using circles instead because it's easier, like to actually make that part. But yeah, when you guys are like designing, if you guys ever need to design like a little gearbox or some sort of power transmission system type thing, like something with gears, this will be a good tool to just kind of like test. You know, just a good way you can kind of put everything to an assembly, see how everything is going to spin. And what's cool is it does work with gear ratios. So right now, since our quote unquote gears are the same size, you can see they rotate together at the same speed. However, if this gear was twice as big as this gear here, then the gear I'm driving would spin twice as fast. Like it does work with gear ratios, which is really useful. So you can kind of get an idea of how fast stuff will spin. So yeah, does that make sense? Were you guys able to get the gear mate to work?
Wait, so must have not made it this right originally,
Okay.
since like the arms are, you know, they're not, I guess they're not fully defined because when I try to spin them, they're like going through the design.
Are
You
they
know what I
going like up
mean?
and down or side to side?
Up and down.
In that case, I would mate the top face to the top of our little peg here. That should stop them from going up and down. I would make them coincident,
Okay.
just to kind of lock them in place.
It worked.
It worked?
Hmm.
Cool. All right, so if you guys were both able to get the gear mate, this one's a cool one. There are a couple other mechanical mates as well that I won't go over. To be honest, it's because I've never used them before. This is the only one I've ever actually had to use. But if you ever wanted to learn how to use one of them, you could always just look it up. There's really good documentation. I just have never needed to use it yet. If you guys are interested in learning it though, maybe next class I can do a bit of research beforehand and try to do something on it. But for now, we're going to try one other mate. So in the last class, remember how we used like an angle mate? Or actually, yeah, we'll do that. So if we go into the advanced tab now under mate, we'll see that there's a bunch of just a bunch of stuff around here. The two that I find the most useful are these two here, the bottom two. And if you compare them to the standard, it looks very similar to our distance and angle mates. And that's because that's kind of what they are. But instead of just mating it at a specific distance or angle, so we're going to work with the angle mate. I'll kind of show you how it works. So I'm going to click the side of this, of one of the gear's arms. I'll click the side of the slider. I'm going to click this angle mate. And what it does is it gives me a maximum and a minimum angle. So instead of locking it to one angle, I can lock it between two different angles. So maybe I want it to be able to rotate between, say, 90 degrees and 180 degrees, right? So, oh, hold on, that didn't go through right. 90. Oh, it's because this one needs to be the smaller one. That's why. There we go. So now it's going to be basically stuck between 90 and 180 degrees. If I hit check, you can kind of see I can move it 90 that would be 90 degrees, 180 degrees. So it's kind of locked between those 2 points, which can be useful if, like, say you have some sort of arm or like a 4-bar system. And obviously it can't, if you ever have like an arm on a robot, usually it can't spin 180 because it'll hit something. So what you can do is you can kind of bound the angle with that mate and kind of keep it within like a certain angle range, which is really useful. I can kind of see here, you know, we're kind of locking how far we can rotate it. So
Mine won't work. Mine won't rotate anymore.
it just won't rotate at all.
No, I think I did it wrong. I think I know what I did wrong, but hold
Okay.
on. Actually, give me a
I
second.
know,
Let me try it again.
I know what happens if you go into editing the mate. What can happen sometimes is if you put the same angle by accident for the maximum and the minimum angle, it'll just keep it stuck at that angle because they'll be stuck there. I know what happened to me was I tried putting the smaller angle in the top box and the bigger angle in the second, and it gets angry at you because make sure you have the smaller angle in the second box. So if you try to copy what I have open up on my screen, it should work. Taylor, were you able to get it to work?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Julia, were you able to figure out maybe what's going on, or?
I'm just trying to delete it right now because I know what I did wrong. Like you see the part where it's like you click on like the angle thing, like you click it like before you even do anything.
Yeah.
And then it says 180 degrees.
Yeah.
I just like clicked on that and then I realized I messed up and I just put enter and then it went to the same spot that like your things like your like little what is it called a leg there did and I was like, oh, that's fine, and then I like
I
checked
see.
it.
Yeah.
And then I messed it up. So hold on, I'm gonna try to delete it and then
Yeah, this up here just tells you what angle it's at currently, and you can kind of set that to whatever you want between your range. So I could put it to like, I could set it to 100 if I want, and I'll put it 100 degrees. But yeah, these are the ones that set the bounds. This is just kind of to display the current angle it's at, which is kind of useful. All right. Yeah, let me know when you finish that up, and then we'll kind of do the next thing. But Taylor, if you're ready for the next thing, delete that coincident mate we had made between the side of our slider and the side of our base to kind of keep it locked on one side. We're going to delete that. And,
okay, wait, I got a question now.
Sure.
Because I got it to move. I kind of did it. But like you know how yours is like sticking out on the side there?
Well,
It's like you see how you're like putting it like where you are right now, like up like that?
Yeah.
That's where it like starts and then it goes to like it points
this
I don't
side
know.
here.
Yeah, it goes that way. That's like
Okay, it might have just
fun.
been like what faces you selected. What you can do is have you tried you can try swapping your mate alignment.
Okay.
It could just be that you selected different faces than me. So since your angles have different reference points, they're going to look different. That makes sense. You know?
Yeah, I think you're right. Now that I'm looking at it, I think you're right.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I mean, I just wanted to show you how to use that mate. So if yours looks a little different from mine, that's okay. You know? I'm not too worried about this working like an actual mechanism. It's more about just you guys kind of seeing how the different mates work and what you can do with them. So if it looks different, that's totally fine. I wouldn't stress about it. You're able to get it to work though, like kind of rotate 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, just delete that coincident mate that we made near the beginning of the class that was between the base and the side of the slider that we kind of used to lock it on one side. And once you guys are both done with that, just let me know.
I'm done with that.
Okay, cool. And Julie,
What are we doing? My bad.
you remember the coincident mate we made like right at the beginning to keep our base from moving around? We made it the
Like
the
of
side
this
of our base.
class?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, yeah.
Remember
Let
we
me get
made
rid
it
of
the
that.
side of the base to the side of slider? Just like click on that mate and hit delete. You can go into like the mate drop down. It should be like the one right above your gear mate, because it was the one you did right before then.
Okay, because I was confused on which one like it was gonna be.
And you could always click
Okay.
on it to make sure, and it'll like highlight the faces it's mating, so you can make sure it's the right one that way. But yeah.
Okay, I deleted it.
Cool. All right, because we're gonna replace it with a cooler one. So we're gonna go into mate again, and we're gonna go into the advanced tab again. And we're going to click on the distance one this time. And it works basically the same way the angle one did. First we need to actually select our faces. I'm going to select the faces of the coincident mate we just deleted, so the side of the base, side of the slider. And what this one does is it works very similar to how the angle one did, where it'll basically allow it to move between a maximum and minimum value. What I'd like us to do is try to set it up so that this little base can move inside of the slider, but can't move outside of it. Because right now, if we dragged it all the way to the side, it would just move outside the slider and just keep going. I want it to be like kind of locked inside of it, if that makes sense. So our minimum is obviously going to be 0 because we don't want it going further to the left than that. For our maximum, though, I forget how long I made this slider. Let's try 10 and see how that looks. My number keys aren't working. That's
It's not working for me either.
okay. In that case, let's see. So I'm gonna select the two faces, go into advanced, click distance mate. We're gonna say the minimum is 0. 0. Okay. Then we'll say the maximum is 10. Oh, it worked for me that time. All right. And then let's see what 10 looks like here. 1, 0. How does 10 look? 10 is too far. I'm gonna make it 7 instead here. We'll see. How does 7 look? Nope. Too far. 6. 6 is right. Oh, nope. 6 is not right. Hold on. Oh man, did I mess up one of my mates? Oh no, I didn't. It's just transparent. Okay. So I think we want to set our maximum to 6 inches and our minimum to 0 inches. Now it should be able to only move inside the slider. Were you guys able to do that? If you guys are having any troubles with it, let me know.
I was able to get that.
You were able to get that? Awesome.
It worked the second time, even though it looked like I did the same thing. I don't know. I bet whatever. I guess it worked.
Yeah, for some reason it wasn't letting me like enter numbers into the box when I did it the first time. I'm not sure why. If someone watches the recording and sees I did a dumb mistake, let me know.
Do we do it with the other side now?
You don't need to, because if you properly,
well,
right? Because what's happening is when it gets to the other side, this side is hitting that max distance.
oh my bad. Wait, what was the max distance?
The minimum distance is 0. The max distance should be 6.
Oh yeah, because I put 10. That's why I can't
Okay,
go
I
lower.
originally put 10 as well, but that was too far. Yeah.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, normally what you'd
I'll
want
go
to do is
fix it.
take some measurements and do a little bit of math first to like see how far it can travel. I forgot the measurements though. I guess I could have used the evaluate tool. You go into evaluate into measure. You can measure the distance of things. So I could have gone here. Oh, hold on. I clicked that side line. Come on, select the line. That's kind of,
Okay, now I'm good. Now I'm good.
I'm just kind of curious. So let's see. The length of my slider. Here, let's try something. Have I shown you guys how to use the measure tool before?
I don't think
I don't think
did.
so. I don't
Okay,
think so.
cool. In that case, let's go over to the evaluate tab. And then we'll click on the measure tool. It looks like a little tape measure. And it lets us just calculate the distance between things we select. So if we select like one side of our slider there, and then the other side of our slider, it'll give us the distance between the two. And we can see it's 10 inches long, our slider.
Hey guys, so this is a comparison between the slide logos.
If that makes sense. So by clicking on those two sides, it gives me the distance between them, which is 10 inches. And then if you click off like kind of into the distance, it'll clear your selections. So now if we select the two sides of our two bases, that side and that side, we see that that distance is 4. So if we do the length of the slider minus the length of our bases, which is 4, we see that the distance then between the side of this base and this the side of the slider here should be 6 inches at the max. So you can do a little bit of like math in measuring to figure it out instead of trial and error, which probably would have been the better way of doing it. But yeah, measuring is a measure tool is super useful. I use it all the time. Just to like, that way you don't have to like go back into like the parts in the drawings to figure out the distance. You can kind of just tape measure them and see how big it is. It's especially useful if like someone sends you parts or something. That way you can just do a quick measure without having to like kind of sort through all their sketches, because sometimes it can be tricky like to go through someone else's parts depending on how they make them. So using the evaluate tool, you don't have to really mess with any sketches. It's really nice. Then this was kind of going to be a shorter one because I only had one other thing planned. So let's go into the assembly tab, and you'll see a little icon called exploded view. Do you guys see it? We're just going to click on it, and let me know when you have the
Yeah, I see it.
let me know when you have the explode menu up. This is kind of a fun thing. I like doing these. So this is going to do, it's called.
Does it make it? Does it make like the pieces like go apart?
Yeah.
Is it, like,
Remember how I was doing? Remember
Oh.
I was using it to like show you guys how all the pieces should fit together in the assembly?
yeah, that's pretty cool actually.
Yeah, I'm going to show you how to make them.
Ooh.
They're super useful. And this is actually going to carry in. So I'm thinking next lesson that we do next week is going to be, we're going to start working on drawings. I'm okay at drawings. I'm not the best at them. So I'll do my best to show you guys the basics. But you might have to do a little self-learning too, because it's not something I have a ton of experience with. But exploded views are useful if you're trying to, it's just a good way of like, if you have an exploded view, it's a lot easier to show someone, hey, here's how I want you to put this together. Because sometimes if you design something, you might not be the person putting it together. So once you guys have the explode menu open, whenever you're doing an exploded view, you want to take it apart. Like when you make this assembly, think of how you personally would take it apart, right? I'm looking at this and I would say, well, first I would take the arm off because that's kind of like holding on our gear. So I'd take the arms off, then I'd take the gears off, then I would probably take the pins out of the bases, then I would take the bases out of the slide, So kind of think through it in the order that you would want to take it apart, what you think would be the best way to do it. So we're going to start with the arms. So it has it selected already for our explode step components. So we just need to click on our first arm, and I'm going to do both arms together. All right. Now you see it gives us these arrows that we could drag them around on. Now I want to bring mine directly upwards. I don't want to bring off to the side, right? Because we're thinking about it. How would we want to disassemble this? And obviously there's a pin there, so we're not going to drag it to the side. So I'm going to drag it straight up. And when you're doing your first ones, you want to just make sure you're leaving enough room for you to bring the rest of your parts up. So I'm going to bring them up a decent distance, about that far. The other thing is you could also put in like the distance yourself. If you know, oh, I need this to be exactly 4 inches high, in this little distance box, you could type in 4 and it'll move them up exactly 4 inches, which is nice if you want all your parts to be spaced in a certain way. I usually just drag it by eye because I've never had to do anything like that, but it's something you can do. So once you have the arms dragged up to where you want them, I know most of the times when we're done with something, we hit the check mark. We don't want to do that here because we haven't finished our explode view yet. If we click it, it'll just close our explode view and say, there's your exploded view. And we'll just have our arms up there, and that's not what we want. So after each step, you have to click this little done button down here. So I'm going to click done. And now you see it saves the step we just did. And now we get to move on to the next one. So I'm going to start with my gears. I'm going to select both my gears. I'm going to bring them up, making sure to leave enough room for what comes next. And yeah, that's basically the steps you follow. Now, let's say you messed up on a step somehow. You can, in the explode steps, right-click on it, or just click on it, I'm sorry, and you can actually edit it. So maybe you go back and you're like, oh, I didn't move the arms up high enough. You can just click on that step and move them up. So you can go back and edit them. I'm going to click done. And you see it brings me right back to explode step 3. So I'm going to kind of finish off this exploded view. Let me know if you guys have any questions. But yeah, now I'm just going to bring the pegs up.
When you click the check, will it like do something? Or will it just like stay there, you know?
Once you finish it, we'll see. But yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Good question. Oh, selected the wrong thing. There we go. And you can see I don't really like how mine are spaced, so I'm actually just going to go back into my other steps and kind of edit them. Because I feel like mine's a little too cramped right now. They make it really easy to edit this stuff, though, which is super nice. And if you ever accidentally do go and click the check mark, I'll show you guys later on how we can kind of get back to the exploded view we made and, you know, all that. So let me know once you guys are all done with all your exploded steps, and then we can click the check mark. But yeah, there we go.
I'm done.
You're done? All right, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm also done.
Perfect. All right, so let's hit check. And yeah, it stays like that. So, and now you might be wondering how we can put it back together, I guess, right? Oh, that's interesting. So here, I'll show you how we can kind of access that exploded view we just made. So this whole time we've been working with SolidWorks, we've kind of just been sticking with this thing called our feature manager up here. But there's a couple other tabs we can go to. We're going to click on configuration manager. And then we see a little drop down we can click here. And now exploded one, that's the one I had made before that I was using. But you can see we have this view called exploded view. Mine's exploded view 2, yours will be exploded view 1. You can see it has all the steps we just made. And this is where that exploded view is. So if you ever click check too soon, you can always just right click on it, hit edit feature, and get back into it and make your changes or add new steps maybe. And if we ever want to put it back together, we can right click on the exploded view and click collapse. Click on it again, explode. And there's also animation options, so you can animate the collapse and everything will kind of put itself back together, which is kind of fun to watch. And you'll see we have a little video bar up here. So if you want, you can actually loop it and hit play. And you can kind of see it'll just keep doing it. You could also set it to reciprocate, which basically means it'll put itself together, take itself apart, and almost do the steps in reverse order each time, which is fun. You could also save the animation if you want. So maybe someone's like, hey, I want like a little video of how everything kind of comes apart, gets put back together. You can save an animation of your exploded view if you want. which can be useful sometimes. So I'm going to close out of that. Yeah, so now we can kind of toggle if we want it exploded or collapsed. Similarly, if we explode it, we can do this thing called smart explode lines. These are kind of, they're not super useful. They're kind of nice just to show like the direction everything goes, I guess. But I'll admit, I don't really use them a ton. Yeah. They can be useful if you're like assembling a bunch of like circular objects onto a shaft or something like that. But other than that, I can't say I use them much. I'm sure they're useful. I might just not know how to use them properly. So maybe if you wanted to ask like John or something, he might know a bit more about that. But yeah, so that's exploded views. So we can kind of collapse that. And I'll be, oh wait, did I want to? Yeah, I don't think we're going to get into that. I guess I might as well. So one thing you could also insert into your assemblies is a bill of materials. It's also kind of just on the assembly section. I'll admit I don't use this a whole lot, but if you kind of click bill of materials, I'm going to click parts only because I want it to just display the parts I'm using in it. Existing annotation view. Yeah. And you can kind of see it'll basically just chuck a little bill of materials onto our assembly. And it gives me all my file names and how many of each I use, which is kind of useful. You won't really see these much in assemblies though. So I've never really used this in an assembly, but bill of materials are really useful, and we'll actually see it later on when I talk to you guys about drawings, because bill of materials are very important in drawings. I don't really use them much in assemblies. Just to show you one other quick thing you can do, if you go to insert annotations note, this is something that can be kind of useful whenever you're making like a part or even an assembly. If you ever want to like annotate things in your part, you can do that. Like, see how I can have this? I have this little text box. If it's on like an object, it'll do a little arrow pointer. And you just type words in this if you want. So you could say this is a slider. And then just kind of click out of it. It'll give you the option to duplicate more. So maybe I want to put one over here too. I don't know. You could also just use it to, I'll just delete these ones. I don't really want them there. I'll keep the other one. You could also use it to just chuck your name in there if you want. But this is something kind of useful. I remember when I took my SolidWorks class in college, whenever we made a part, we had to put our name, like the class we were taking, and then the homework number that we were working on with it. So these are kind of useful. You can also use these in parts as well. Yeah, so annotations are kind of cool, but not super useful. What else is there? Oh, and then one last thing I wanted to show you guys real quick before we finish up. Would you guys just mind opening a part? Or actually, let's do this. So on the feature tree, let's click on let's click on the arm, one of the arms. If you click on it, you'll see that there's an option to open the part right up here, which is kind of useful. Like, you can just open the parts from the assembly. So I'm going to open up the part. And does not seem to be. I'm going to try that again. Yeah, try opening up. And it doesn't have to be the arm. Open up whatever part you want. Okay, that's not working. Huh. All right, well, I'm going to have to open mine normally because for some reason it's not showing up properly. But just open up any part you have on your computer. Okay, I think it's just a SolidWorks issue for me. Whatever, I'll still show you guys how to do this. It's just gonna be kind of weird on my screen because it's not working, but let me know when you two just have a part open.
I'm good.
Me too.
All right, so last thing, let's see. If we click on our part and down on this tree here, there's this thing called appearances, scenes, and decals.
Wait, hold on, wait, hold on. How
Okay,
do you click on like the whole thing? Because I keep trying to do that and I keep failing somehow.
I just highlighted it.
Oh, my bad.
You could also
That
just
makes a
click on
lot
the
of
boss
sense.
extrude feature if you want, but I'm a fan of highlighting. And then you
Okay.
see this little like tree on the right side here with all these little icons. If you click on the multicolored wall, this one's kind of just fun to play around in. So one thing you can do, you can give decals. I think you need, but like one thing you can do is if you open up scenes, right, you can like give it like backgrounds, like just like give your part like backgrounds, like a forest if you want. Which I don't know. I don't really mess with the scenes very much. But one thing that can be useful is if you go to appearances, color, open up, hold on. And you go, I think it's to texture. Shoot. Oh, drop down. Sorry. If you do the drop down for the appearances and color, you can choose a material for your part to be made out of. And this is mainly just for looks, but it can be kind of useful. Like if you're making an assembly and, you know, maybe one of your parts, you know, is going to be made out of like white Lexan, another part, you know, is going to be made out of aluminum, another part, you know, is going to be made out of like the black plastic extrusion. You can like make it match that color just so it's a little bit more obvious for people when they look at your assembly. So it's not just a bunch of gray parts. So if I go to plastic, maybe I select like a medium gloss, and you can see it has all these different colors for us. I'm going to go with maybe I don't know, or actually this is a gear, well, quote unquote gear. So I'm not going to make it out of plastic. I'm going to make it out of metal. I'm going to say it's a steel gear. And then I can basically pick what type of steel I want it to be. Maybe I think it's I don't know. We'll just say it's like a brush steel. I think you have to add appearance to part. Yeah, and that should work. That doesn't show up on mine because for some reason SolidWorks doesn't seem to be working for me. But were you guys able to like set like the material appearance for your art?
I didn't even know that there was a material, but I will do that.
Yeah, if you go over to appearances, you do the drop down for the appearances and color, you'll see it brings up like a whole list of materials. And if you just keep going through the drop downs, you can see all these different materials. And then, you know, I'd pick steel. And from there, you have a bunch of different types of steel. I think if you double click it, it should just apply it to the part. I don't know. Let me know if that works for you guys. It's not a super important feature, but it's kind of fun to mess around with. And like I said, if you're making an assembly with like 20 parts, it can really help them stand out.
Is it like okay, so you know how like you click like the glass and then like the picture looks all like beautiful, like it looks like glass.
It
And then you
doesn't
do
look that good on your part, does it?
and no, it just
Yeah.
looks clear.
Yep. It never looks that good on your part.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
It is, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's probably partly because of the geometry. I think the round spheres look really cool with the glass. Yeah, like I said, for some reason it's not loading the. Oh, wait, glass worked for me. That's cool. But yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It just looks clear and boring. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like even like the different like materials, they don't look like different. They just look like different colors.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know.
pretty much. I like the stone ones. The stone ones are kind of cool. Which one's the oh, brick. You can make them look like they're out of brick. I love messing
I
around
tried
with brick.
it didn't even let me make it look like a brick. It just gave me one color for the brick.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that stinks. Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta get a new computer.
I'll be honest, they don't look as good as they advertise, but like I said, it's really just mainly useful for if you're if you know, hey, I know this part's gonna be made out of black plastic or something like that. You know, it can be helpful to just differentiate that color that way, you know?
Yeah, or you can just make it different colors if
Yeah.
you know.
Like maybe you're making something that's gonna be made out of like 20, like a bunch of different little plastic pieces, just different colors, so it pops, you know? It's just a really nice
Yeah.
way of, you know, giving a bit of intent. Like I know like when I was working over the summer, I had to design something that had like a little lens piece in it. And I made the lens piece out of glass, which is cool because then in the assembly, I could actually still see through the part, which is, you know, what we wanted. So it can be kind of useful sometimes. And I guess while we're here, the other thing I kind of wanted to show you with evaluate, you can also go into the mass properties thing, and that'll basically give you like a bunch of info about your part. It can give you your volume. And since we didn't actually set a real material, the density and stuff won't be correct. But if you ever want like the volume of your part or surface area or center of mass or anything like that, it can give you a ton of data like that, which is super, super useful. I think you have to. I don't know. Do you guys want to learn a little bit more about mass properties? We still have like a bunch of time. I don't know if you guys want to just do one more quick thing.
I don't care.
Okay.
Unless Taylor cares, I guess.
I don't care either.
Cool. Well, on the left side, there's this little thing called material. And right now it says not specified for us, even though, because like I was saying over here, this is just cosmetic. But let's say we really did want to make a glass gear for some reason. Well, let's right click on material here. It says not specified, and we'll go to edit material. Configure material would be if you want to input your own. And you see it gives us a bunch of different materials we could work with. Does it give us an option for glass? Does not look like, oh, I don't know, maybe glass fibers. That's not really glass, but let's just do steel actually. So there's a bunch of different types of steel we can work with.
I'm gonna do galvanized.
Galvanized. All right, sure. Yeah, pick
Yeah.
whatever you want. And if you then click apply, what it'll do is I think it changes the appearance of it automatically to whatever material you set. I could be wrong.
Oh my god, it has a texture, it has a texture. This is
Oh, it
the
has a
only one that's ever had a texture. This is
Oh,
crazy.
wow. Glad you found a cool one. But yeah, it'll override whatever appearances we set over here. Because like I said, these are just cosmetic. But once you set that though, and you click mass properties, now it'll use the density of that material and automatically calculate what's your mass, what's your volume, what's your surface area. It gives you all these other numbers, which you've probably never seen before, but they're useful when you're doing like engineering math on parts. So using materials and your mass properties thing is super nice. You know, like I know when we're designing the robot, we're really worried about like the weight of parts. This is a great way of just, you make a part, and before you even make it, if you know what material you're making that out of, you can see how heavy it is. And then maybe you're like, okay, well, maybe we could swap to this material, and you can see how heavy it is. So using these materials is also useful for other stuff that we won't get into in these lessons, just because they're a little complicated. But yeah, mass properties and the materials feature can be really useful, especially if we're just trying to like save on weight. But yeah, that's all I had for this class. So I'm going to stop recording.